Reddit. What are your worst roommate stories? Story 1. The worst story I have is just really creepy. She was a great roommate, but I couldn't sleep right for a month after. So, it's literally the first night we sleep in the same room. So things are already a little awkward, since we only know each other's names. But night falls, and we go to sleep. I wake up to the sound of her yelling, "No, no, no, no!" And then she flings all of her blankets off of her bed and onto the floor. At this point, I'm freaked out, so I asked if she's okay, and she doesn't reply. Instead, she sits up and looks around, sees the window, and kind of whispers, "Not the window." Then, she stands up and walks to the window. At this point, I realize she must be sleepwalking or crazy. She gets to the window, grabs the lock with both hands, and is locking and unlocking the window over and over again while whispering to herself. She never opened it, but after about 3 minutes of that, she let go and says, "That will do," and then started walking back to her bed. But when she was passing by my bed, she stopped and turned to face me. Then she just stood there sleeping, I hope, staring at me for a good 2 minutes. Then she started whispering to herself again, walked past her bed to the door, dragged her hand down the middle of it, turned around and walked to her bed, and went back to sleep. I was terrified, but I never told her about it. She never did it again. Story 2. Well, here is my ex-roommate story. Dated a girl for a while. She moved in, and we ended up breaking up. I let her stay and move into one of the upstairs bedrooms because I made the mistake of feeling sorry for her. Fast forward a few years. Yes, I am a huge pushover and way too forgiving of people. I think she finally broke me off that, and I finally had to kick her out. It started small over the years, with her just being a general slob. However, she had the upstairs of the house more or less to herself. Large bedroom, her own full bathroom. Nobody ever went up there to bother her. She also had a pet rabbit. I liked rabbits. They're cute and adorable. The rabbit, however, was not taken care of. She went back to Arizona for Christmas to visit family and asked me to watch the rabbit. Sure, no problem. I go up to check on the rabbit, give it food, water, a clean cage, etc. And the upstairs looks like a pigsty. There is trash everywhere, just piles of dirty dishes and food wrappers, just general trash. The bathroom looked like it had never been cleaned at all. Just layers upon layers of makeup residue and hair and trash. Ugh. And worse, the rabbit's cage was this tiny thing designed for small rabbits, and was too small for this one since she never let the rabbit out of the cage. The entire cage was dirty. The nails on the rabbit were long enough that you knew they hadn't been taken care of in a while. I was horrified, but me, being the pushover that I am, didn't immediately pick up a phone and yell at her and tell her to keep her bags packed when she got back. No, I didn't do that. I cleaned up the upstairs, went out, built the rabbit a new much larger cage, and took care of it. When she got back, I told her flat out it wouldn't happen again. Fast forward a few months, and the rabbit is put for being sick. She starts posting on social media about how sad she was, etc. I sat there thinking, come on, you didn't even take care of it. Why are you sad? I even offered to help her take the rabbit cage down after it happened. She declined. Fast forward again, and I am wondering why all of a sudden the house is crawling with bugs. I start seeing ants and roaches in larger and larger numbers. Not cool. Then I start noticing an odor in the house. Something rotten. I'm thinking something got in one of the attics, like a squirrel or a mouse or something, and that's what's caused this. So I venture upstairs and check one attic. Nothing. So I go to check the other side, which is accessible from the roommate's closet. I open the door, and the room is once again a huge mess. Everything from blackened, shriveled banana peels to fast food bags to piles of dirty dishes and clothes, and bugs crawling over it. I, understandably, was a bit upset. Even the rabbit's cage was still there. Not even cleaned up. I was confident she hasn't changed the litter from when she got back after Christmas. I told her she needed to clean her room now, today, this instant, because I wasn't going to have the upstairs of my house become a garbage dump. She wasn't exactly happy with me, but I didn't care at that point. I stormed out and left for a bit before I snapped and did something I would really regret. So, being my silly self, I assumed that given the situation and context, the upstairs would then be cleaned, that I got the point across. So I go upstairs a few weeks later to change the air filter in the AC system. And lo and behold, the room is not only still filled with the exact same things it was before, there is new trash. I am done at this point. I am livid. I tell her when she gets home to clean the upstairs, pack her bags, and get out by the end of the week. She gives me a song and dance and sob story and all about how it will never happen again. You're right, it won't. You're not staying here. No one should be surprised when they find out I still ended up having to clean the upstairs. The carpet was a loss and the entire house had to be fumigated. I even have to repaint the walls to cover stains since nothing would get them off. I took pictures. There are episodes of Hoarders that looked cleaner. Story 3. A friend of mine needed a roommate in a house where he already held a lease. I moved in and paid him rent instead of adding my name to the lease. I lived there for about 3 months and it was great. He was always cleaning, literally always. It seemed pretty great until I came home from work one day. There was a pink note stuck to the front door that said we were being evicted because we hadn't paid rent in 3 months. Turns out that cleaning was what he liked to do while high. It all worked out though. I talked with the landlady and she kicked him out and I took over the lease. Story 4. I had a roommate in college who could only fall asleep if he watched Disney movies at night. I had to listen to them every night for hours trying to sleep. And I now hate The Lion King with the passion of 1,000 burning suns. Story 5. My first roommate in college was a nightmare. She would party all night and then wake me up at 4 a.m. when she got in to see if she got any phone calls. This was before cell phones were common, but our college phones had voicemails. It was a dry campus, and she would drink all the time in the dorm and leave bottles and cans all over the place. I drank too, but at least I had the common sense to hide the bottles. She would come back from sorority parties drunk and expected me to take care of her. It came to a head when I went back home for the weekend, and when I got back, she had put a leaky McDonald's cup on my brand new laptop. Who knows how long it had been sitting there. I told her I was going down to the student life office to see about getting my own dorm. It was worth the extra fee to live alone. Luckily, there was an empty dorm on the same floor I had been on, and I was able to move there. I went back to my dorm to start packing up, and she had already moved all of my stuff out into the hallway. I hadn't even told her I was able to move out yet. Turns out she wasn't cut out for college anyway. She dropped out after 1 year, most likely. One of my last memories of her in the dorms was in the spring. She had gotten her tongue pierced and went tanning. The next day she was lobster red and her tongue was swollen so bad she couldn't close her mouth. She was shuffling down the hallway trying not to move too much, and her mouth was hanging open. Story 6. Circa 2001. It was my first apartment, and I wasn't a good judge of roommate character back then. I was working at a welding shop and had befriended this big Mexican guy after driving him home from work enough to start hanging out at his house. After work for a few beers and his mom's excellent biscuits and gravy she'd make for us. Naturally, we thought it would be a good idea to roommate at my place to cut down on expenses. Little did I know, he was one of those drinkers who black out and destroy everything. Each day after work was him with a case of beer and getting into arguments with kids in chat rooms over a mic until he would pass out. It escalated. He quit going to work and I'd come home with him passed out, vomit all over the floors, piss in the corners, half-eaten pizza face down on the couch. The works. I started telling him he needed to leave, but he wasn't hearing it. Eventually, he got arrested for something and ended up in jail. I was free for a while. He got out and I woke to a bang on my door. I didn't let him in. His mom collected all his things when he got locked up. Fast forward to recently, I had been overseas for 6 years and moved back to my home state afterward, and recently stumbled across his social media page after not having seen or heard from him in 13 years. We talked. He's doing really well now, training to be a counselor, and I'm happy for him. Story 7. I had to work abroad for 3 months. I came back to discover the bathroom light bulb had blown just after I left. Rumi felt she couldn't change it herself, so called an electrician. Electrician laughed at her and told her she could save a fortune and do it herself. She still hadn't done it by the time I got back. Needless to say, I fixed it in about 5 minutes. It would have been sooner, but I couldn't stop chuckling at the thought of her using the bathroom in the dark for months. Story 8. Got a bottle of Johnny Walker Blue for my birthday from a friend. I went out of town. My roommate proceeds to drink half the bottle and then filled it up with water like I wouldn't notice. And then had the audacity to lie about it and continues to this day. I do believe he doesn't remember though. He got laid off after getting a DUI, proceeded to drink a lot for 8 months, and was eventually taking our rent money to pay for his car bill. Didn't realize till we had an eviction notice. Forced him to get his parents to pay for our 3 months of rent that he didn't pay, but I still have an eviction on my record. I have a copy of the notice that says I was not evicted, so wherever I go I have to show that to future landlords or when I buy a house, so we don't get denied. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and activate the bell button to receive notifications to my latest videos.